So as of right now, we're at the quarter mark of the season, and right now we're seeing truly what teams are really up there as contenders this season. And as of right now, one of those teams is the Denver Nuggets, who this season have been one of the most prolific offensive teams in the NBA and have been producing to another level. And as of right now, I think they're the fourth seed in the Western Conference. They were the second seed like a couple days ago, but they lost two in a row. But right now, the Western Conference is extremely tight, so you can see them bounce around that 4-2 spot a lot more. But right now, they've been one of the better teams in the NBA, and they've hit a lot of my expectations. And while on the defensive end, they've fallen a little bit short to what I believe they could have been, especially with the improvements they try to make at their point of attack defense with getting KCP and Bruce Brown. But overall, this team offensively has been more than enough to light up a lot of teams in the NBA. And right now, some of the injury players that are coming back to this roster have finally been getting back into their groove. So let's talk about how they've been doing it and how they've been so good this early in the season. Before I get started, hi, I'm Alpha. I make basketball content on YouTube, and the Nuggets are one of the main teams I do cover because they're one of the better teams in the NBA and they're so fun to watch. So if you enjoy basketball content and you enjoy Nuggets content, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you here. We're getting close to 5K, and I'd love if you help me with that. So as of right now, the Denver Nuggets have been one of the most prolific offensive engines this league has ever seen. Right now, with the spearheaded by Nikola Jokic, who's having another great season and all the advanced numbers. Now, while the I guess traditional stats are a little bit down, his scoring's a little bit down, rebounding, that's simply because, well, earlier in the season, he was trying to help Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray work their way back into the lineup, so he was scoring less. And as of right now, he's picking up the scoring a little bit, but overall, he's doesn't have to produce to that extreme of a level night in and night out, so he just isn't. And I think that's best for this team. He preserves energy and stamina for when playoff time does come around. But at 23 points per game, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 1.3 steals, half a block, on 63% shooting and 34% from three. Nikola Jokic is showing you again why he's probably the best offensive big this game has ever seen. And I don't know what else you expect from him. He's only taking 13.7 shots per game and he's still averaging 23. I don't know what else you can expect from somebody who's doing this at such a prolific level. Then you have Jamal Murray that's finally working his way back. And he started us off the season a little bit rocky, but you know, he's picking it up a little bit. On the season, he's averaging 17.9 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 0.9 steals on 44% shooting and 38% from three. But in the past 5 games, we've been seeing what the Jamal Murray that we truly expect later in the season. I'm averaging 23 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, 5.6 assists on 50% shooting and 44% from three. He's finally getting back to the Jamal Murray that we all know and love, that can produce offensively with some of the best guards in the NBA quite easily. But even though Michael Porter Jr. has been out of the lineup and there's no real timetable for his return, he's also been a guy that's played 16 games this season, the majority of their games, and he's producing to a level that we've seen before, but he's working his way back into. He's efficient as ever as a scorer while rebounding more at 16 points per game, 6 rebounds on 47% shooting and 43% from three. But then you have Aaron Gordon, who this season has taken quite the leap in offensive production, averaging 16 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, and 60% from the field and 37% from three. Aaron Gordon has truly entered that realm as one of the better two-way players in this league. With Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. back, they have taken a lot of the offensive load off of him, so he's been able to move freely and he's been getting a lot more open shots and better looks at the rim, and he's taken full advantage of it. Not to mention guys like KCP, who's still shooting over 45% from three, Bruce Brown that's still shooting over 40% from three, Bones Highland that's been coming off the bench and lighting up teams left and right at 14 points per game on 43% from three. This team just has a balanced offensive attack that consistently attacks teams that can't really hold them. The only thing that you can harp on is their defense. And as of right now, this Nuggets team has 7 players that are scoring in double digits right now. I don't know how much of a more balanced offensive attack that you can ask for. Like a rotation this deep, when you have guys that can produce to a pretty good level of defense that's not even playing that much right now, like a Jeff Green, like a Chris Brown that's shown some flashes, like a Ish Smith that can be a serviceable backup guard in the NBA. This team is just on another level offensively, but I think this is what we expected when this team came back. You knew this team could outscore almost anyone in the league, and every single given night you can mark them in for at least 110 to 120 points quite easily. But the part that's been really holding them back, that's been the reason why they have 9 losses right now, is the defensive end of the ball. Now, throughout the Nuggets' tenure of Jokic's winning MVP, without Jamal Murray and without Michael Porter Jr., this team has been about a middle of the pack defensive team. And with those two returning, and one of them not being the best defender in Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray being, I guess, serviceable as a defender but not crazy good, this team tried to improve its point of attack defense with KCP and Bruce Brown, but it has not done too much to mitigate some of the flaws of this team. Because even though the Denver Nuggets are one of the better rebounding teams in the NBA, they're also still 26th in defensive rating. They're 19th in opponents' points off turnovers. They're 14th in opponents' fast break points. 22nd in opponents' points in the paint. And they're 19th in opponents' three-point percentage. They are giving up not only points in the paint, but they're also giving up a lot of threes. Now, how do they fix this issue? One, I think they're still working their way back into form. Michael Porter Jr. in and out of the lineup with no time before his return. Jamal Murray still working his way back in. Overall, I think this team will be one of the more bottom defensive teams the regular season. Maybe at most 20th in defensive rating. Maybe you can say close to middle of the pack when the season's already over. You can't expect this team to be anywhere near dominant on the defensive end. But right now, it is just a team that's still working their way back through injuries and still figuring out what they want to do on the defensive end that's best for them. And Mike Malone, while I do love his offensive philosophy and how much he does make adjustments on the offensive end, his defensive adjustments have been lacking in certain ways. So I do hope that does change, and he's just trying to see what works throughout the season. But again, I'm not an NBA coach, and I haven't coached one of the greatest offensive players of all time, and so we'll just see what he has in store to make this defense a little bit better. I don't really have a way that you can. I don't think they do have the personnel outside of KCP, Aaron Gordon, and Bruce Brown that can be very crazy plus defenders. And now Jokic metrics says that he's a plus defender, but as of right now, we know he's not the greatest rim deterrent. And he is not the greatest pick and roll defender as of well. But overall, I think this team is more than perfectly fine the way it is. I do think as the season does go on, you can't make any trade or any big move that's just going to automatically drastically make the defense any better than it already is. So I think you just try to make the best of what you have right now. I think throughout the season, it does get better as this team gels a little bit more. But a team with this dynamic of an offense, with Aaron Gordon having a career year shooting at the rim and from three, with great scoring coming off the bench, with great shooting all over the place, Jokic still being as dominant, he can go off for 30, 10 and 10 whenever he wants to, and Jamal Murray finally working his way back in, and Michael Porter Jr. still being the prolific shooter that he already is. I think this Nuggets team is definitely on its way to being one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and has a very, very good chance of winning the Western Conference this season, since it is so wide open and we really don't know who's going to be taking it. But with that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think this Nuggets team can hold this up? Do you think they can be at top of the conference? Where do you think their defense will land? You can check out any of these Jokic videos that I made. One where I talk about how the media is trying to ruin him, or one I talk about very recently about what I thought of the Nuggets about, I get either around the 10-game mark of the season. But with that being said, this is FLB. That is my time, and I'm out.